Hello, everybody. We are live for Once Upon a Read Along to discuss The Blood Spell by C.J. Redwine, our March read along book. I am here with my co host Kathleen from For the Love of Books and Desiree from Libri Labra.
Hello.
So, as we normally do, if you've never done or never watched a live show with us before, is we normally start off the first couple of minutes with no spoilers, just talking about our thoughts and our rating. And can you guys hear the dogs barking in the background?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. They just got fed. um, and so it's no spoilers for the first couple of minutes. And then we will say, hey, we're going into spoilers in case you don't want to be spoiled. And the rest of the live show is spoilers from there. And then at the end, we'll talk about the next month. So who wants to go first with their initial thoughts?
I can go first, I guess.
Okay.
So I finished reading this book yesterday. I actually listened partly through the audiobook and actually reading the book. I actually enjoyed. This is, in case any of you guys out there watching don't know, this is a the Ravenspire series is a 4-book series that is fairy tale retellings, and this particular one is a Cinderella retelling. She takes I feel like sometimes with her books she takes a very dark spin on the fairy tale retellings, and I feel like this was no different. It was a little bit darker and grittier than our beloved Disney fairy tale retellings. I actually quite enjoyed. I can't say that this is my favorite just because I don't actually remember the other books very much. It's been a while since I've read them. I think the last one, the third book, it's been at least a year since I've read it. So the other first two, it's just I don't quite remember. I don't even remember which ones, like what retellings they were. But I did quite enjoy this. I actually gave this book 4.5 stars. I was initially thinking that it was 4 stars, but I hadn't actually finished reading the book. And sometimes for me, endings of a book can really break it or really make a book for me. So I ended up really enjoying the ending of this book. I felt like it was really done well. There was a lot of things that happened and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I ended up bumping the rating just a little bit and I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. I thought it was a great spin on Cinderella. I like how this author does take like the fairy tales and she kind of like puts her own twist in her own stories, and I really enjoyed the little references that were made to the other books. I know I didn't catch them all, but there were a few that I recognized. But yeah, I really like this book.
Do you want to
go next? Yeah. So this is my first CJ Redwine book. I think I had a little bit of trouble getting into it in the beginning, but for some reason, sometimes like picking up the audiobook, even if I don't listen to it the whole way through, like it helps. It just helps orient myself. So that helped kind of pull me into the story. And even after I finished it, I went back and listened to the beginning a little bit. But I would definitely read her other books. I feel like I would give this 4 stars. For me, there were a few things that I felt went unanswered or she didn't explain enough. But usually my ratings are like very from my gut, and like when it's a 5, I know right away. So I enjoyed it. I would read the other books. It's definitely more than a 3, so it's going to be a 4 for me. And I don't usually do half stars. But yeah, I think it was definitely an interesting take on the Cinderella story.
So I actually gave this book 5 stars, and I noticed like when I was reading it, I actually went back to look at all my ratings of the other 3 books, and they were all I believe 4 stars, and I think one was a 4.5. This is my favorite book out of all 4 of them that have been released. I think this was a very interesting take on a well-known fairy tale. And the first one was Snow White, but the second and third one weren't fairy tales that I was well known with, which was Rumpelstiltskin and Prince and the Pauper. So I thought that this was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I liked I liked the characters. I liked all the connections to the second and third book. Um, and I really enjoyed this one. It made me happy, especially with the ending.
Do you think that the fact that you're more familiar with the Cinderella story made you like it more?
Probably, because I remember the third one when we were reading that, when I was reading that before we did the live show. I don't think I really was as into it as I was this one, even though that one, I still ended up enjoying that one. I gave that 4 stars, I think. So I think I enjoy all of her books, but this one was like my favorite one that really stuck out. Okay, so now we are going to go into spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, then now is the time to click away from the live show, if anybody is watching. Did I hear that too?
There's feedback coming from somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I just heard myself again. That was weird. Okay, well, so now we'll just get into spoilers. So what do we want to discuss, guys?
I kind of have a question, and
Yeah.
this was part of the reason that I like went back to the beginning. Why were their families so close? Like
Whose family?
Blue and Kellen's family. Like they disliked each other, and I couldn't wrap my head around why they were so close.
So the dad is like the alchemist of the city, I guess, and he used to bring a lot of things for the. I guess he used to be good friends with the king because of, I guess, he provided a lot of healing items, and so that's how they became good friends.
Okay.
But I guess just because the kids didn't like each other, that didn't mean that the families didn't. Yeah, but I guess his dad and her dad were really, really good friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start with this story.
So I feel like the like enemies well, I wouldn't call them enemies, but like the enemies,
it was a hate to love, yeah.
Yeah, like a hate to love thing. It's a trope that's been done, but I actually kind of liked it in this one.
It was, yeah, I liked it too, but it was a little too obvious about where the author was going.
Yeah.
She's like, all these other girls are falling at my feet, and here's the one that's not. And I'm just like, okay. Well, clearly that's not the change.
I mean, I normally don't I normally don't dislike the trope.
Yeah, I don't like the trope. I don't dislike the trope at all. I just thought that when it pushed it too much, and it was kind of like obvious that they're going to end up together at the end.
But I liked because it was like she's a commoner, she like you can't marry, how there was like that twist to make it actually work. Loved that.
I mean, it goes with the
Cinderella thing,
right?
Yeah, it was really good with that.
Desiree, one thing I would also want to say to anybody who's watching, in case you don't know, CJ Redwine at the moment is not writing anymore in the series, so you can't read the rest of the books if you want, because on Goodreads, someone asked her if she's gonna write it, all the fairy tales basically, and she said she wants to write 10 of them, but she was only contracted by her publisher to write 4. So unless the publisher renews her contract to write more, this is the final book in the series.
Hopefully she gets renewed.
Yeah. I do like, I haven't read many retellings, but I do like her spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said in the beginning, I do like that she makes them a little bit darker. So, yeah.
I just happened to be, sorry.
You're fine.
I just happened to be looking at some of the book outlet purchases I made last night, and I was like, oh, I bought a CJ Redwine book. So apparently I have the paperback of the Wish Granter. That's what's called,
the Wish
right?
Granter is one of my favorites. Like,
Yeah.
that's the Rumpelstiltskin one, and I actually really enjoyed that one.
So at least I have it and I can read it.
There is a connection in this book to that book.
Yeah, before I read this one, that one was actually, I considered it one of my favorite.
What do you think your least favorite one is, Kat?
I don't know, because mostly because I don't remember. The thing is, I don't remember the first one at all.
Yeah, me too.
So I can't say. And I really enjoyed the last one, which was the Trader
Trader
Prince.
Prince.
But then again, that's the one that I remember the most.
Yeah,
On the side.
I feel like my least favorite one is either the second or the third one, but I don't know which one.
Yeah, I like the Wish Granter. Really interesting spin on Rumpelstiltskin.
Mm-hmm. So what do we want to move on and discuss?
What do you guys think about Blue as a character? Like, I don't know. She's kind of bitchy.
She was a very typical YA character. Is what I was going to say.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. I enjoyed her. But to be honest, she's not very memorable. She's not very memorable. So in like a few months, this book, even though I did rate it high because I did enjoy it, I rated it high for the pure enjoyment of it. But in a few months, I'm gonna forget all about this book. I won't remember a lot of details besides some of the things that happened. But like, she's a very typical YA main character. So,
what do you guys think about is her name Dinah or Diana? I think it's Dinah. Yeah, what do you guys think about her being the Blood Wraith?
I was surprised. I did not know that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that twist kind of like, I was like, okay, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah,
I thought
me neither.
It was just someone or something that they put away because it was killing all the children and stuff. And then Dinah, I figured the only reason why she wanted to be connected to the Wraith was because of the power that it gave her. She wanted to release it because she wanted to get revenge on everybody that kind of like hurt her.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But I did not expect her to be one half of the Wraith, like a part of the Wraith. And I was like, that makes sense. But that was also really surprising.
Yeah, and they didn't like actually they didn't actually form together to one Blood Wraith until she was like at the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I wish we got more background about her, like what makes a Wraith. Like, she has a sister who's a witch, and that's it. Like, she's a normal witch. But what made her become a Blood Wraith? You know, like, what is it? Like, is she, like, did she do something horrible that kind of cursed her into becoming a Wraith? I feel like there wasn't a lot of background into this, and I wish there was more.
I think they said it, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, like I don't remember exactly, but I got the impression that they were suggesting that when you thirst for, like, if you're using magic and you start to thirst for power excessively, that kind of leads you to start doing things and, you know, making spells that might hurt other people. And then once you start doing that, then you like you require like the blood and stuff.
Although it does make sense, like her being like half of the Blood Wraith, why like her, I guess her childhood is always brought up, where it's like she came from nothing and made it to something. Like she literally came from basically nothing. She just came out of another person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Desiree, what did you think about the whole ending about how he used the slipper? Like, yeah, I get it. He had to insert the slipper at one point, but I thought it was the most, like, that whole scene where he's like testing every girl, and then all of a sudden she comes and it's like, whoa, you know? And it's like, I'm sorry, to me, like, as sweet as it was and as reminiscent of Cinderella it was super cringy. Like, I was like,
I didn't think it was cringy. I thought it was really funny because as I was listening to the story, at one point, John said something to me, like, he was like, what I don't understand is how no one in the entire kingdom had the same size shoe as Cinderella. And
And
so
they solved the problem.
and so when at the end Nessa says that, she was like, well, you might have other people with the same size shoe. I just thought it was funny that they kind of poked fun at that,
Yeah,
and they
true.
tried to find a way around it. So.
Yeah, I just felt like the whole scene, like, with, like, I just felt it was very, very sweet. And I like that it was finally introduced, because I asked Chloe, when I first started reading this book, I asked Chloe, I was like, is the shoe going to come in eventually into this book? Is it going to be a evil stepmother? And yeah, I guess it happened.
Literally all I told you was keep reading.
Yeah.
I think you started it on the day I finished it.
Yeah. Who is your favorite character? I have to say that my favorite character is Nessa.
Yeah. I feel like the sister in a lot of stories, like the quirky sister, ends up being one of the cooler characters.
Did it ever mention why she doesn't speak? I know she speaks at one point, but does it say why she chooses not to?
I assumed that she was deaf.
No.
No, she's not deaf, because they like talk to her, but I mean, this might just be the child care person coming out of me, but I thought it was a development issue, because I remember at one point they said she got to X years old and still she never spoke. I don't know why though.
I don't think they said, but I appreciate the inclusion of sign language and everything they were saying about it. But no, I don't know what the explanation for that was.
Yeah, it was just there, I guess. I feel like I had something I want, like a topic that I wanted, and I can't remember what I was going to say. I'll have to think about that for a second.
So there were parts in the story that I felt were like a little too convenient. And they stood out to me. So I'm trying to think what it was. The part where, like, the whole thing with her being poisoned and then saving her, I was like, okay, now all of a sudden Ness is gonna make this potion. And then she was just like, oh, get me my wand and get me a jar, and she pulled the poison out of herself.
I mean, it was a nice connection to, like, Nessa taking the lessons with her, and being able to use that knowledge to help her.
Right, but in the end, she just pulled the poison out of herself.
Because they put the healing potion on her blood, and her blood absorbs things.
I don't know.
She has magical blood.
And the whole thing with, like, the shoe and being able to find people or find whoever she
I don't know why that scene I found was funny.
I don't know. What was the deal in, like, the original Cinderella? And I guess when I say original, I mean, like, the Grimm's fairy tale Cinderella. Did the stepmother, like, married her dad, right?
Yes.
Did she kill him in all the stories?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't know if does she kill him? I thought he just died. I don't know.
Oh, because she killed him in this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about the original ones is, like, the stepmom made the stepsister, like, cut off her toes or something to fit in the shoe.
What?
Yeah, that's the only thing I know from the original one.
Oh my gosh.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
She is the evil stepmother after all.
Yeah.
I wish, one thing I want to say, I wish we got more from the second sister, whatever her name was, Halette, whatever, because she was actually nice to Blue.
Yeah.
And I remember Blue mentioning that she doesn't mind the second sister as much as she despises, like, the stepmother and the first sister.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but she was still willing to protect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
the
did feel
spider.
bad though that the person like was gonna like collect his debt in the form of marrying a sister. I felt bad about that. Bad for them there.
And that's gross because this is really old.
I mean, but they did things like that.
I know, but this is like a young adult novel. It's gross.
Yes, but it's like higher up on the YA scale because it's like more
It's
gruesome or darker. That's the word I was
I'm
looking
glad he
for.
died. He's the one person I'm glad died.
I did really like the romance though. I'm glad it wasn't like it didn't feel insta-lovey.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
agree.
it felt like there was a natural
Yeah,
coming together.
it was I did like that. It wasn't but again, kind of knew from the beginning it was gonna happen. But yeah, I like I actually really liked the character of Kellen. I do think he's again another very typical YA love interest, but I did enjoy him. I do like that he has, even though he doesn't want the burden of the crown, I do like that he has a good head on his shoulders and he realizes that he's the only one. There was one scene where he talks about that he's the one standing between all of these head families from wanting the crown and protecting his own family, and he's like the one in between. And I do like him. I like that he realizes, that as much as he wishes his dad was there to take away the burden of the crown, he realizes hey, I need to do this, and he kind of like steps up to the plate. Even though he does mess up a lot, he does step up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Did they change any of the rules revolving around magic?
What do you mean?
Like, because magic was outlawed.
Oh, I think so, because at the end, the queen, the actual, Kellen's mother, he mentions about, because he asks if he can. Kellen tells the queen, his mom, "I'm going to marry Blue," like as in it's final. There's nothing you can say. And then she says, "Well, Matt, this monster was destroyed from using good magic or using magic in a good way," and I thought that assumed that the queen was going to reverse the whole ban on magic kind of thing, because she saw magic being used in a good way. But that's how I understood it. I don't think it was explicitly said that magic was not outlawed anymore.
Maybe it's just one of those implied things.
Yeah.
What did you feel about Cinderella being Fae?
Is she?
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, like, her blood is special.
I thought that was just because she was magical.
Along with her mom. I don't know. I didn't know this. I just figured she was a witch like her mom and her stepmom.
No, but her grandmother is the fairy godmother.
Yeah, but that's not like explicitly said.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't introduce the fairy godmother as the fairy godmother, but they do say that she's Fae.
I want to know where this says.
Yeah, where do they say that?
All right, keep talking. I'll look for it.
I just assumed the grandma was a witch and the mom was a witch, and then therefore she is a witch.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was gonna say something else and I forgot.
What do you think if the series continues? What do you want the next one to be? Like what fairy tale?
I have yet to read a good Mulan retelling.
You should read the one that I recommended. I've never read it before, but I feel the other books in the series are good.
Oh, the one that you're reading right now?
I'm not reading it right now. It's I don't have it. It's
but it's part of that series.
It's not part of that series. It's part of a different like retelling series. I know the first 3 are by Liz Braswell, and then for the Mulan one, they had it like an Asian author write it, but I can't remember her name.
Okay, so in chapter 1, it says the arches were meant to weaken anyone with fey magic in their blood, but they'd never affected Blue. Maybe it was because the magic in her blood was harmless, or maybe it was because the royal council was wrong about iron arches and doing a single thing to protect the people from the kind of fey magic that wasn't harmless.
Wait, hold on.
What page is that on?
That is on page 3. It starts at the bottom of page 3. And there was like, that's the first reference, but there was other references mentioning that she was Fae.
Well, I guess like Fae is not like, I'm not saying it's not a big thing, but it's not as like big of a, I don't know how to, it's not like Throne of Glass. Does that make sense?
I haven't read Throne of Glass, so
Neither have I, but I'm sure Kat understands what I'm trying to say.
Get it?
You get it, Kat?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the best way I can explain.
I get it. Fae, she might be a Fae, but I guess in my head, because they call them witches, that's what I felt like the whole time, that she's just a witch.
But I
feel witch because her mom was a witch, because her grandmother was a witch, and it just kind of runs down the family line.
But I feel like they made a very clear distinction between her family and what her mom could do, because it was her mom that made that spell. And Riva, when Riva was talking about it, I feel like they made a distinction between the Fae and then the just practicing magic witches, if that makes any sense.
So is anyone with magic then Fae? Because then that Riva and Dinah would be Fae.
No, I don't think they were. That's the point I'm trying to make. I don't think they were, but because, like, have any of you watched True Blood?
Yes.
Okay, well, the whole thing with the blood being like really special. If you, I don't want to spoil everybody for True Blood, but just
I get it. Yeah. I never actually finished the whole series, but I got pretty far in.
Okay, so it sounded like her mom had special blood and she had special blood, and it was because they were Fae. Is the impression that I got.
Will has made his appearance in the comments. The author I was looking for was Elizabeth Lim, who wrote Reflection. That's the Mulan retelling I was talking about.
Yeah, I read that. That was good.
Have you read the other ones before it?
I have not read any of the other ones. I mean, I liked Reflection mostly because I loved Mulan. It was good while I was reading it, but it's like not memorable, so I gave it a 3. But I enjoyed it while I was reading it.
I have to read them in order, and I've only read the first 2, and then I've got the third one, but I haven't started it yet. I want to read it soon. I have to go in order.
But I really liked the romance in it.
Don't tell me. No spoilers.
So I don't know. I guess like I felt like they were mentioning Fae stuff, but they didn't really dive deep into it. So I was kind of like, it just felt flimsy that they had put that in there.
Everybody was just a witch to me.
Those are my thoughts, I guess.
Okay.
I can't remember what I was going to say.
The queen seemed very forgiving.
At which part?
Just the fact, like, it's like she understood, and she understood that he wanted Blue, even though she was like, I get it, but you can't do it.
It's like, I get it, but nah.
I mean, she could have been flipping out.
Yeah. I think she was a very small character, but like, but she was a small character, but at the same time, she had like a big presence in each little small part that she had.
Right. I don't think I understood the part where the 2 girls were killed. Was it actually the person that they were accusing, and was there more to that? I feel like I didn't connect all those threads.
Wait, what? Who?
The 2 girls that were killed. Jen and something else.
Oh, okay. So that is just like completely separate from the actual story with the Wraith. So one of the other head families had hired somebody else to kill the daughters of the other head families, so that his daughter could win the throne.
Right.
Like,
so we don't know who it was?
Huh?
We don't know who it was?
Yeah, we know.
It was the guy that they like sentenced to death, right?
Yeah, they sentenced to death, and then it mentions that his assassin was also caught, and she's the one who named
Oh,
him.
right.
Wait,
I do remember that.
his assassin was also caught, and she was what?
She was the one who named him. She's the one who
like reported
said
him
that,
or whatever.
He was the one who hired her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, or him.
I do remember that now.
Yeah, so but that's like completely separate from the actual overall plot of the story. Which is sad. I think Jen was like a really nice girl. Like her brief moment in the book, she was actually really nice.
And then it's like, oh, she's dead.
And I think she's the one who, well, one of the two girls that died, she didn't want to marry the king or the prince because she was already in love with someone else.
Yes.
Yes, like his friend.
Who was a friend of the prince.
Right, yeah.
I need to go back to the end of the Traitor, or the beginning of the Traitor Prince, but I do know that Kellen is like in that book right at the beginning. I want to go back and look at it.
Yeah, because he's friends with the main character.
Yeah. I can't. What was his name again? It started with a J. I can't remember. It's not Jason. It's like
Javon.
That. So yeah, I want to go back to the beginning of the Traitor Prince and look at that again.
Now, I don't know if I misread this or misheard it, but were they saying that Kellen was the youngest of 3 brothers?
I don't think so.
If he's the youngest, then why would he be the one?
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand.
I thought it was just him and Nessa.
Yeah.
Because I thought, because Nessa, like I told you, I re-listened to the beginning. Nessa goes to Blue and she's like, I have good news. Kellen's coming home. And I feel like Blue said something to her, or she thought something about her other brothers. That she thought Nessa's other brothers were cool, just not that one.
No, I thought it was just the 2 of them. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, I'm checking too.
Oh, look, I just opened to something about invite all my local friends and also send an invitation to Prince Javon in Akram.
There you go. That's the reference to the 3rd book. And then there's a reference to the 2nd book. Also, I think Hansel and Gretel, the animal wranglers, are in every single book, I think.
Yeah, they are.
I feel like they only came in to be like, this is the answer to your problem, and then they just disappeared.
They're very relevant in the 3rd book, I think.
Okay.
I think that's where they shine the most. I don't see anything about it saying other brothers.
Let me see where. I don't know which chapter it was that she.
I can't find it.
It's like page 22. But it doesn't say anything about other brothers. It's like the end of 21, beginning of 22.
Maybe it's because she says Kellen is my favorite.
Yeah, it's like he'd be your favorite too if you gave him a chance.
I guess that's probably it.
I mean, I don't remember being any mention of 2 brothers. If there is, then I don't understand this entire book because it's indeed the first son who's like,
I was just like, why don't the other brothers want to be king?
Right?
Because they don't exist.
Why did he get sent away to boarding school? Did they say
I think
that?
they said his father went there, so they wanted him to go there as well.
I don't remember.
I think it's just like a thing that princes do, maybe. Well, because they talk about the boarding school in the last book too. Just a thing that princes do. They go to boarding schools.
Those wily princes. Was there any anything else that happened with her making the gold, or as soon as she found out what was happening to kids, they kind of let that go?
I don't think she ever like perfected it. Like
Yeah.
it never got perfected. And then it kind of like the well, I guess then like real problems started happening.
Mm-hmm.
So she gave up on getting the gold. I don't really know. But I don't ever remember her getting it exactly right.
While we were listening, John was like, "Is everybody's grandmother French?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "It's Grandmere. Leave Grandmere alone." He was like, "Yeah, but in Scarlet, her grandmother's French too."
Was there a French accent for that character?
Yeah.
Yes, there was.
Well, and they kept referring to her as Grandmere, which is how you say grandmother in French.
I knew that one, but I didn't listen to the audiobook, so I was like, do they have accents?
And the person that narrated, I don't know her name. I think it's like Christine something. Hold on. She is the same person that narrated the Daughter and Smoke and Bone series. So she was. She sounded familiar.
That's cool.
Did she also narrate Strange the Dreamer?
No, a man did that one.
Oh.
So Christine Havim, Hvam, I think that's how you pronounce it. But she's done a bunch of books. She definitely sounds familiar.
I don't know.
What did you think of the cover?
I love this cover. It's gorgeous.
Really?
Yes, it's beautiful.
I dislike it greatly.
Why?
I just like, I mean, I was looking at the other covers too. I feel like this one matches the first one mostly, and they kind of went a little bit different with the other two. But I don't know. I just don't like the colors. I don't like the shininess or the 3D rendering. I don't know.
Wait, do you have a library copy or like your own copy?
No, I have a library copy.
Well, that's why it's shiny. It's matte without the covering.
No, but if you look at the pumpkin's got very
like how it's like
highlights on
lighter.
it. I mean, because it's glass. It's like a glass pumpkin.
Yeah.
So
I actually like the pumpkin itself. I don't like the background color. That's my thing. But I like the pumpkin itself.
It's just the fact that it's not illustrated. It looks like a 3D render, and I don't think.
I like how the vine goes from blue to like green. I like that.
I like in the beginning, I was like, what's the secret ingredient? It's probably going to be her blood. And it wasn't until we started this that I was like, duh, it's called the blood spell.
Nice. And like the inside part is red. The
inside papers are like really, really pretty with the map and everything.
Oh yeah, I keep going through to see like, all right, we've been to this one, we've been to this one. Because the map is the same in every book. It's just a different color. And like
oh really?
Yeah, and then like the stuff on the outside is different with each book, I think. I'm pretty sure it is. So like this one has pumpkins in it. Actually, maybe it's all the same. Kat, is it the same in your book?
What?
Like, can you open like the trader prints and see if the outside is the same?
I think it's the same. It's just a different color in the maps.
Yeah, okay, it's the same. Yeah.
It's still pretty.
That's cool though. Damn it, now I'm regretting getting a paperback.
Why the paperback
did you
have the map?
I don't think it has that.
Well, you can always like get a hardcover and sell the paperback.
Yeah, I guess.
I like that there's references to like the other books, like because here's the spinning wheel from the second one. I think that's Hansel and Gretel in the corner.
I don't remember anything about the first books, very vaguely.
The one I remember the most is the third one, because we only read that last year.
I'm glad I went back and like listened to the beginning again. This happens to me sometimes with books where like I just don't process the beginning. And so after completing the story and rereading that chapter or whatever about the wraith, because obviously now you're reading it with new eyes and new information. And so it was interesting to see all the connections there, where when I first read it, I was like, this makes no sense to me. I don't know what they're talking about. So, but I mean, I don't know how you split a person in two. You just take out their bad parts, which clearly didn't work.
They tried.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you said at the beginning. I feel like a lot of things they went unexplained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did Riva survive? No, right?
No, she died. Pretty sure.
What did you think about them making a remnant out of his dad?
That was creepy and messed up.
Yeah.
That was so creepy.
I was like, I don't know, it really hurt my heart.
Yeah.
It's like, that sucks. The one thing that like he's been struggling with this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But at least he got some closure out of it.
Yeah, I guess. And he was like indestructible when they needed to like stop him.
That's some crazy magic. I'm glad that's not real.
Or anything else we want to discuss with this book?
No.
Well, I hope she keeps making more.
Me too. I actually like this is like a good series. It's like I'm consistent with keeping up with every year.
I'm glad they're not all like, even though they have some threads that connect, I'm glad they're not like you have to read the other book.
Yeah, like that's how like I'm not reading this book right now, but I'm reading the second one, and they're like companions, but they have like a like there's something small that connects them all together, I guess. I like books that are like that, looking back at the different connections.
Did Will read this?
No, he did not. I think he mentioned earlier, I was talking to him before the live show, he might like go back and like listen to the audiobooks of the first couple of books. But he wasn't able to get the audiobook for this one.
It was good.
Oh, it was good.
I enjoyed it.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
What did you rate it again, Desiree?
I gave it a 4.
For some reason, I thought you said you gave it a 3.
No, I gave Reflection a 3.
Right. Do we have anything else?
Nope. I think that's it from my end. It wasn't a very complicated story.
Yeah.
just a nice, simple Cinderella retelling.
Well, hopefully, if she writes more, we'll be able to do a 5th one next year. Fingers crossed. But if she does get her contract renewed, because they've been released every single year, then hopefully we'll know soon. Have to periodically check her website or something. All right.
I hope she writes more.
Yeah, me too. I want her to write a Little Mermaid one. All right, guys. So, you want to go down the line and do final thoughts, or just reiterate what your rating was again?
Sure. So I gave it a 4. I did like the romance. It was a little bit hate to love trope in there, but Will's making fun of us.
He is. Jesus.
Yeah. He's like, great live show, slow clap. Oh,
I
it's
just
regular
closed
clap.
the chat too.
Regular clap. I kind of wish they had done a little bit more. She had done a little bit more with the whole Faye thing. Like, if you're gonna put it in there, like really put it in there. But everything else was pretty good, and I would recommend picking it up. And I'm, like I said, I'm definitely gonna go back and read some of her other books. So
Yes.
Yeah, I liked this book. I enjoyed it. I do, having read all of her other books, I do feel like this is one of the better ones. I do enjoy the spin that she puts on her retellings. Like I said, she does do a little bit darker than normal, which I did like. I don't think, like, I gave this book a 4.5 stars. I enjoyed this book purely for the entertainment purposes of the book. But to be honest, I don't think the story is very memorable. Like I said throughout this entire live show, I barely remember the first 3 books, and I read the third one last year, like the third one in the series last year, and I barely remember what happens on that one. But they are entertaining. They are good while you're reading. I just don't feel like this book is one that stays with you for the rest of your life. So, but if you're looking for something that is just like very fun to read, and it's a retelling, it's kind of like putting a spin on your beloved Disney fairy tale retellings, then I would recommend reading this book. I would recommend reading all of the books. Actually, they're pretty good.
And I'm just gonna say, like, I gave it 5 stars, and it was my favorite out of the series so far. And definitely one that kept me engaged throughout the whole reading of it, through the whole book. And that's all I have to say for my final thoughts. Our April book, April, is going to be Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu. This is, like The Bloodspell, this is also a companion, and is technically listed as the second book in the DC Icon series. And this is our throwback book, because we couldn't decide on a new release, or there was nothing we were really interested in for April. And our live show is going to be on Sunday, April 21st. That is right. Yeah, 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So a little earlier in the month, but this is a really short book anyway, so we should be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all I have to say on that. So thank you to everybody who watched this live show, and hopefully we will discuss with you guys next month for Batman Nightwalker. So we will see you guys next month, April 21st.
bye.